What is going on, Hokie Nation? Thanks so much for being with us today on Sons of Saturday. Hi, everybody. I'm Giovanni Heater, joined alongside the legendary longtime voice of the Virginia Tech Hokies, Bill Roth. Bill, how you doing? I know it's probably the busiest time of year for you. Fall camp is in full swing. Football season's right around the corner, and you're back with Virginia Tech.
I'm so excited to start the Brent Pry era at Virginia Tech down in Norfolk in a few weeks. They have been so dedicated to recruiting and to building this team. And now that camp is open, it's going to be an exciting time to see how this team prepares over the next few weeks, getting set for the opener of Old Dominion. And yeah, I'm delighted to be back. It's going to be a lot of fun to be back with our radio crew and talking to the Hokie Nation every week.
Well, you're back with Virginia Tech after a huge stint before that, and very long history for you with the Hokies. So let's go through some of your most dramatic, some of your most intense, and some of your best moments on the microphone for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Let's start out with number 5 on our list, one that everybody knows and loves. Give it to me, Roscoe. Let's hit it.
Here's an end around to Roscoe Parrish. Hokies have this one read well. Parrish cuts it back inside and loses the ball. Taken right away from D'Angelo Hall. He's sprinting down the sidelines. D'Angelo Hall into the end zone. Touchdown Tech. It was an end around to Roscoe Parrish. And D'Angelo Hall took it right out of his hands. He said, "Give it to me, Roscoe. Give it to me." And down the sidelines, Hall went. Touchdown Tech.
All right, Bill, so D'Angelo Hall pulls it away from Miami tailback Roscoe Parrish and takes it to the house. It was the first score of the day for Virginia Tech in a huge game against the Hurricanes. What was Lane Stadium like? Talk about that atmosphere as the Hokies went up over the Miami Hurricanes.
I don't know that Lane has ever been louder for a 3-hour window than it was that night. And the Hokies actually had 2 defensive touchdowns in that game. The first one was Hall stripping Parrish on that end around early in the second quarter. And then later, Miami had a really good team. You know, they had won, 39 games in a row, regular season games in a row. This was Miami when they were Miami. And that was a huge win. Coles Colas pressured their quarterback, Brock Berlin, chased him over towards the east sideline. He threw on the run, and Eric Green jumped the route and ran it back for a touchdown. So the Hokies had 2 defensive touchdowns in that game and a big win over Miami.
All right, we move on to number 4. Everyone knows this one as well. It's the Miracle in Morgantown. This is how it sounded.
There's the snap. Ball down. Shane swings the leg through. This kick is in the air. It is gone. It is gone. Shane Graham wins it for Virginia Tech. Michael Vick makes a miracle happen in Morgantown, and Shane Graham kicks it.
All right, Bill, back in 1999, Shane Graham put it through the uprights after Michael Vick put the Hokies in field goal position to take down the West Virginia Mountaineers, taking home the Black Diamond Trophy back to Blacksburg. What was a very hostile Morgantown like on that night back in 1999?
Well, more than the Black Diamond Trophy, that was Tech's national championship hopes. If the Hokies don't win that game, they're out. And earlier that day, about an hour before that, Penn State had lost at home to Minnesota on a late field goal. And so the Hokies knew if they won that game in Morgantown, they would move up in the BCS standings, and they were going to be favored in their games the rest of the way. And so you felt like, my goodness, we got a shot to play for a national championship. So that's why that game was so important at the time. It kept Tech's undefeated season alive in Week 8. It wasn't a great WVU team. In fact, it really wasn't that good of a game. It was not a well-played game, but it had an incredible ending with high drama and a last-second kick. Vick was at his very, very best. He had a scoot down the right sideline right in front of Tech's bench that set us up for a field goal attempt for the best kicker that Tech's ever had in Shane Graham. And Gio, he nailed it right down the middle.
All right, so for number 3 on our list, we move 1 year later to the year 2000. This is probably my favorite call on the list as far as its significance. It's the hand him the Heisman when Michael Vick had an incredible run on the road against Boston College. This is what it sounded like back in 2000.
Here they come again on third down. Vic back to throw. In trouble. Running. Gets to the 20, 25, 30. There he goes, folks, across the 40. Down the left sideline. Vic in open field. Cuts back right to the 20. It's unbelievable. The 15 stops. Jukes, dives, spinning, end zone, touchdown, Tech.
Oh, my goodness.
82-yard run. It's the most unbelievable play you've ever seen. Hand him the Heisman. Give it to him right now.
I mean, come on. Michael Vick is just an incredible athlete, especially at that time. He was truly one of a kind, something that the sport of college football had never seen before. Bill, what compelled you in that moment to declare Michael Vick a true Heisman Trophy candidate in that special moment?
Well, I felt that he was the best player in college football, and I think a lot of people felt that. Unfortunately, the Hokies weren't the best team in college football. They were really good, but they weren't the best team. And now times have changed, right? You can win the Heisman Trophy without winning the national championship for your team. Although it helps, right? It helps if you're the best player on the best team. But back then there was even as a freshman the year before, there was like, well, we can't have a freshman win the Heisman. And I thought Mike was the best player. Not only, I mean, he kind of transcended the position and he changed quarterback rooms for a lot of people, giving opportunities to different types of people to play that position. But it's okay if the best player in college football is a freshman or a sophomore. And the Hokies had that for 2 years. He was an electric player, but he made plays like that. And Boston College was really good on defense. And that was a tough place to play 22 years ago, Alumni Stadium. And that was an amazing run by Mike.
Yeah, Boston College known for great running backs and great linebackers. Man, what I would do to go back and watch Michael Vick play live in action. The highlights, they do it justice, but it just doesn't have the same feel as seeing it back in 2000. Well, we go a little bit more modern for number 2 on our list. And clocking in at number 2, everyone knows this one. This might be the call people think of when they think of Bill Roth and Virginia Tech football. Tyrod did it, Mikey. Tyrod did it. Let's hear it.
7-yard line. Taylor rolling to his left. He stops. He looks back to the right side. Still looking. Tyrod waiting. Tyrod scrambling. Back at the 20. Fires. End zone. It is caught for the touchdown by Roberts. It's a miracle in Blacksburg. Tyrod did it, Mikey. Tyrod did it. They went the whole way in the final minute. Touchdown, Tech.
The Hokies took down Nebraska back in 2009. Bill, this was a play that was set up by a long bomb down the field that was cut short at the 3-yard line. Tyrod running, he's scrambling, and he delivers a strike to Darrell Roberts in the back of the end zone. Hokies win it big. That was a rockiness moment in Lane Stadium. Ndamukong Suh is giving chase. I mean, it's a loaded Nebraska team that's highly ranked and a big moment in recent history for Virginia Tech.
So the year before, the Hokies played at Nebraska and ran all over them, put up big offensive numbers against a really good defense. Nebraska didn't have great records either of those 2 years, but they had really, really elite defenses with Paul at safety and Suh at tackle, and Pelini had them really playing well defense. They just couldn't score enough points to consistently win. But that was a big, big revenge game for the Huskers. And their defense played great at Lane Stadium. In fact, before that drive, the Hokies had less than 150 yards of offense for the game. And they have to go 90 yards. And Tech had a first down in the second half. I mean, it looked bleak. And Taylor, much like Vic did in Morgantown back in 1999, Tyrod made the best plays late in the fourth quarter. And that's what was great about that. And the game winner to Roberts was just a ridiculous play. And Darrell kept running in the back of the end zone, and Tyrod kept scrambling around. And it was a very special day.
And I think that you talking to Mike like that and kind of coming together just showed how your chemistry had built over the last, 20 plus years of calling Virginia Tech football together. So what was that moment like to share it with your good friend to your right in the broadcast booth?
You nailed it. So many of our great moments in Tech history, you probably remember who you went to the game with, right? I went with my dad. I was with my mom. I was with my sorority sister and my fraternity brother. You remember who was sitting next to you, right, for those great moments? Even if it's not a Tech game, maybe you went to an Orioles game or a Yankees game, right? You saw something historic where you always remember who you were with when it happened. Well, every great moment that Mike and I have experienced, for the most part, we experienced together. And so that's what's been cool. The highs and the lows, right? I mean, he's been right there next to me for decades, going back to 1988. So that was a real thrill because I know how much that play meant to Coach Beamer and to our fans and to Roberts and to Taylor and that whole team. It shows that you even if Ndamukong Suh, who by the way is and was an elite player, and Tech had a hard time blocking those dudes for most of the game, but it's never over, right? Till there's all zeros on the clock, and Taylor made a couple of great plays. The long pass to Danny Cole, I think probably underrated, is one of the biggest plays in Tech history. Had he scored, we'd be talking about that play.
Right.
However, had he scored, Nebraska then gets more time to come down, and their kicker made 5 field goals that day. They had a really good kicker. So by the fact that Danny got knocked out at the 3, Hokies were able to use more time at the end of the game. And so when Nebraska did get the ball back, it didn't have time to come down. You know, Hokies were only up by 1 point. A field goal would have won it. I don't think we would have wanted to see that kicker try one more kick. So the fact that Danny got knocked out at the 3 made Roberts and Taylor heroes for life for the Hokie Nation.
No doubt about that. Tyrod Taylor's still kicking with the New York Giants, so great to see Hokie alum in the NFL, and I don't think anybody has a doubt in their mind. They can't wait to see you and Burnup back together again in the booth. So let's go ahead and move to number 1 on our list. Jim Druckenmiller to Jermaine Holmes in 1995 on the road at Scott Stadium to take down the Virginia Cavaliers in the Commonwealth Clash. Bill, take us back to that historic moment.
Fake short, firing it deep into the end zone. It is caught. It is caught for a touchdown by Jermaine Holmes with 47 seconds left. Jim Druckenmiller has engineered the greatest comeback I've ever seen.
Well, it was huge. It was, I think, an impactful win in more ways than people probably remember. It wasn't just because it was UVA and on the road. And it wasn't just that it was in the last minute of a game where Virginia Tech fans stormed the field on the road and Virginia Tech fans try to tear the goalposts down at a road stadium. Things you don't see anymore for the most part in college football. But the fact that it was UVA obviously is huge. However, Tech had won the Big East. But back then, the Big East champ did not get the automatic bid to the BCS, in this case, the Sugar Bowl. So the Hokies had won the Big East, but they had to beat Virginia to get the Sugar Bowl bid. Right. And that was huge because back then, whoever won the Big East, you kept all the money. Right? I think it was $5 million Tech got, which is a fraction of what you get now for playing in those games. But the Big East champ, if you don't go to the bowl, the league doesn't, the teams don't get the money. Now it's all split evenly. So it was really big. And Jermaine, if you watch it closely, he catches it with his elbows. He doesn't really catch it with his hands. He kind of squeezes the ball in. And Hokies win that game. It ended on a pick 6 by Antonio Banks a couple plays later. If the Hokies don't win that game in 95, they don't go to the Sugar Bowl and win the Sugar Bowl over Texas. If they don't go to the Sugar Bowl and beat Texas, I'm not sure they get the FedEx Orange Bowl bid the next year.
Right.
Remember, this is when Michael Vick is in high school, right? Mike's graduating in the spring of 98. So the fact that Virginia Tech is winning Sugar Bowls and Orange Bowl appearances, 95, 96, Tech advanced to a different level back then. Hokies had played in the Gator Bowl in 94, but the 95 Sugar Bowl was Tech's first major bowl game, one of the big 4 bowls, right? The Rose, the Sugar, Fiesta, and Orange. And so it was our first time ever having a chance, and we had to beat Virginia. So that's why that play was so big. And I don't know that there has ever been a more significant play, any more singular play, because if Tech doesn't make that play, what happens in the next couple of weeks after it would have never happened. And they would have never had the opportunity to beat Texas.
And that was at a time, too, when that was Virginia Tech really starting to separate itself from UVA, because in the 80s and the early 90s, UVA was a really predominant football program, and in some ways, more than others, kind of dominated recruiting in the state of Virginia over Virginia Tech. So that was also huge for the Hokies.
The player, so if you watch it very closely, Virginia's cornerback on the play is a young man by the name of Percy Ellsworth. And the Hokies really recruited Percy Ellsworth hard to come to Tech as a basketball player. Wow. I remember very vividly sitting in Coach Hussey's, Bobby Hussey was Tech's basketball coach, and we went over to his house. Percy was on his official visit, and he's sitting on Coach Hussey's couch. Tech's recruiting him for basketball. And Bobby's like, you've got to come. And he's talking to me, and he goes, Roth, Percy Ellsworth will make a play in Virginia Tech history that you'll be talking about forever.
Wow.
Bobby's thinking he's making a basketball play.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it ends up Percy was the defensive back. And so when Druckenmiller does that pump fake, that's Percy that bites on it. But,
wow.
It wasn't that uncommon back then where everybody on both teams had made an official visit to the other school.
Right.
And we may get back to that now in this new era. Both schools are focusing more in-state. But back then, you kind of knew who everybody was, all 22, right? Because, especially on the in-state kids. And Percy was a great dude, man. He was a good, really, really good player, nice guy. He'd have fit well in a Tech as well. But I thought that's an interesting note on the catch that Holmes made.
I bet that's something that a lot of Hokies fans out there did not know. Well, Bill, it seems our time has come to an end. Before I let you go, one last question for you. We have a top 5 list. There's many more epic calls in your career than just this as well, but you're back with the Virginia Tech Hokies. What brought you back to Virginia Tech? And on top of that, how excited are you for more moments like this to come?
Well, to get to work with students like you in our SMA program is what I'm most excited about, and a chance to spread the word about our COM program at Tech. We've hired an additional professor of practice now, who's a great addition for us. Over half the students in the COM school are SMA students now. And so we've got a great responsibility to our students, 250 of you. So that's exciting. And I think we're going to be able to get them involved, all of our students, involved in more internships and maybe more of the things that we do in our Tech broadcasts, starting this fall, but clearly moving ahead. So I'm excited that we can bring everything together and work really hard and do things like this with really passionate kids like you.
Absolutely. Well, again, Bill, I can't thank you enough for coming on today with Sons of Saturday. Can't thank you enough for all you've done for me, and can't wait to see you back in the booth this fall for Virginia Tech football.
Thanks, Gio.
All right, he's Bill Roth. I'm Giovanni Heater. This has been 5 in 5 on the Sons of Saturday. Take care, everyone.